Based in Cincinnati, Burke Incorporated is one of the premier international marketing research and consulting firms in the industry. Burke's clients include Sun Microsystems, Abbott Laboratories, Visa, Bank of Montreal, and Frito-Lay. To maintain a long-standing relationship with its clients, effective communication between the company and its clients is vital. Oral presentations are an important element of an effective communication strategy. What role might oral presentations play at Burke? At Burke, research results and conclusions are communicated to its clients through oral presentations.
We actually can send results, but the results only say as much as you can have that piece of paper communicate. When you have a story that you're trying to tell to top management, it's so much more effective to have the person in the room that you can ask the question of what does this really mean and get a real-time answer.
What steps might Burke's consultants take to create an effective oral presentation? The first step taken by Burke's consultants is to plan the presentation.
I think the most important thing is to have a good understanding of what you're trying to do in the project. Have the proper upfront meetings with the client, understand what the situation is, understand the problem, also understand the audience. Have meetings with the client, go over the data with the client before the presentation is put together. Make sure that there aren't any hidden agendas somewhere so that when the final presentation is made, there aren't any surprises.
The second step is to organize the content and then prepare the visuals. At Burke, PowerPoint is the software of choice with an emphasis placed on graphics.
More and more, the business world doesn't want to read. And that means lots of charts and graphs. The use of much text in presentations, I think, is decreasing and is not as effective as some sort of pictorial display of the findings.
The picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's very, very true. The numbers gets lost. People are looking at different numbers, but when you have a picture up there and there's a big red piece or a big green piece or something like that that is communicating how many people are happy, that's so much more effective.
Burke has found that clients such as Abbott Laboratories respond positively to graphics and pictures within its presentations.
That type of picture can go a long ways into painting the true picture of what we learned in the research to upper management. They don't want a lot of verbiage and a lot of data, but you can show them something that they can clearly understand and it's easy for them to digest and imprint where they can integrate it into further business decisions. That's the important part. And that's something that Burke does extremely well.
Finally, Burke's consultants must refine their delivery to suit the audience being addressed. A consultant's attire is an important element of a successful delivery style.
Simple rule. You're always overdressed. If you're overdressed, you're fine. If you're underdressed, it's bad news. I have gone into a presentation dressed to the nines. Everyone else, it's truly casual day at that organization. They're in jeans. That's fine. But you never want to walk into a meeting where everybody else is dressed up and you've come in business casual. It just never works that way. It's a matter of respect and retaining a little bit of that professionalism that lets them know he's not taking us for granted.
Developing basic presentation skills is key to delivering a successful business presentation.
In terms of presentation skills, the first thing that you have to do is be competent. You cannot go in and think that you're going to dance because they'll catch you every time. You have to know what you're talking about. If you don't, then don't fake it. The other thing that I've had customers tell me that they've appreciated, I asked you a question, you didn't know the answer, and you said, I don't know the answer, I'll get back to you.
I think what's important when you're doing a presentation is clearly you need to know your subject. And you need to establish up front what is the key objective, what are you trying to get across. Stick to that key objective and make sure you say your message at least 3 times. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. And they might actually remember. And then, of course, being animated, which I think can really only come from being interested in the subject. I mean, you can learn techniques to be have better body language, get your arms out, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to know your subject, you got to be interested in your subject, and you have to be focused.
I think the only thing I could add to that is to keep it short, is not to consider adding in more or think that more is better, but actually be very focused on what it is you're going to say. Say those things that Steve said 3 times, but keep it short and simple. And I think you'll be a much more effective presenter if you do that.
The consultants at Burke are sometimes required to present unfavorable research results to the company's clients. How might unfavorable results be successfully presented?
As a new analyst, my first project was for some sort of popcorn product, which I thought the data showed me was a real dog, and that's the way I wrote it up. And we were doing a dry run of the presentation with other people within our company before we went out to the client, and they were just shaking their heads saying no, 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 and I couldn't believe that they were disagreeing with the conclusion because it was clear. And they said, while it may be technically true, that's not the way that we're going to communicate that to them. And so it really becomes a matter of tone.
It's important to be honest in delivering results, because it's your responsibility as a consultant to help them move their organization forward. So if the news is generally bad, then you need to present the news in that way. However, there is always some good news in there, even if it's that, well, the news is bad, but here we have some clear, actionable recommendations that can move you forward. And that's the value of doing the research.
The balance is to be objective and be accurate, but at the same time do it in such a way as to not offend the owners of the product. So we focus more on the potential rather than on the reality.
At Burke Incorporated, oral presentations are the culmination of marketing research and analysis. Therefore, Burke has placed an emphasis on the successful and accurate presentation of research results.
The worst type of presentation is just regurgitating numbers. You have to put the numbers into a story. There has to be a story that you're telling. It's not your job to read numbers to someone. They can do that themselves. Our job is to make the numbers say something, to be meaningful. And that's where you go back to having the important meetings up front, know what the project is about so that you can ask the right questions, so that you can tabulate it in the right way to get to the information, so that by the time you get to the presentation, it's easy. You've done all the work. All you have to do then is to tell them the story.